How can you become a published author in the world of fiction? Let's talk about 7 ways that you can improve your chances of getting your story published with a commercial publisher. Quick hi to the Jersey Writers Club, and folks, if you'd like to share these videos with any writers clubs or any aspiring writers, please do. This can be an immensely frustrating industry, and any of the insights or answers that help someone to get there make a difference in a life. It's also a wonderful industry in the sense that we don't compete against one another. We simply grow the pie together. So the success of one author makes the entire industry look better. Right, how does this work? Here's the way that it usually goes. You will move through a continuum of formality to friendliness when you approach a publisher. What I mean by that is, when you first approach a publisher with, say, a proposal email, you will tend to get back the coldest possible response. There is zero emotion in it other than mild disdain at being interrupted. So it tends to go something like this. The process starts with, "Thank you for your email. Please don't hold your breath as we consider whatever it is you've sent our way." Then ultimately at the end of that scale, if and when you get accepted, it starts to become, "Hey Doug," or "Hey Janet." Not many people call me Janet. "We'd love to go ahead with the next one. Hey, when's the novel after that going to be ready?" And that's the experience that I had with Penguin. The first one, and they're a wonderful bunch. I rate them incredibly highly as publishers. The first email was, "Thank you for your submission. Please note that we will take a while to review this. If you don't hear anything from us, carry on with your life." Then a few months down the line, it was something like, "Yeah, all right, send us the next thing, but do not hold your breath, young man." After that, it became the first one was accepted. And then a few years down the line, after I'd worked with them for a while, it became, "Hey Doug, just wondering, when's your next one going to be ready?" And it became that easy. I had one memorable event where I sent an email to an editor and I said, "Here's the idea for the next one. What do you think?" And within about 20 minutes, I got this answer back going, "Hey, that sounds good. We'll publish it next year." Simple as that. So folks, when you start out, you must expect these incredible barriers and an icy level of reserve and formality. Now, how do we get you past that? Well, here are 7 things that you can do. Number 1, your best argument is an awesome story, an engaging read that people simply get lost in. There is no other argument that you can make for your success that outperforms an excellent and engaging story. So I will share some other tips with you that go to things like marketing and positioning and how you approach them and so forth. But the reality of the thing is, none of these things matter as much as an excellent tale told brilliantly. So if you have a good story, don't worry if you are shy, an introvert, bad at marketing, bad at sales, have no experience with the industry, have no prior credentials. No other argument is as profoundly effective as a tale well told. Now, that's number 1, the idea that a quality story, above all else, wins the day. Number 2, your opening is pass or fail. I've had personal private discussions with editors who have confided in me that they can tell within the first paragraph, and often within the first couple of lines, whether a novel is going to go any further. So assume that when you send your story to a large publisher, at first it will go to a commissioning editor, generally a fairly junior person, but someone with a good eye for what they're looking for. And they will tend to look at the first paragraph and chuck and go on to the next one. And I mean that, because an experienced person in this world is able to look at the first paragraph and see whether an author is for real. Hence my advice to you, study openings. And I really mean this. Go to a bookstore, go to your library, download some Audible books, and listen to the first page. Read the first page, and read it with a mind to dissecting what's going on there. You'll find that, generally speaking, the first sentence is incredibly well crafted. That doesn't have to mean that it's very literary. It just means there's something with a whiplash in it. There's something that engages, something that gets you to dig in. And within the first paragraph, we meet someone and become engaged in an emotion of some kind. Whether that is the worst and hackneyed version of a crime novel, "Her blood splattered across the wall," as an opening line, or whether it's the sort of subtler version where you are cast into a scenario where you go, "What on earth is going on here?" And you begin to wonder and you begin to care. Take a look at those openings, the first line, the first paragraph, the first page. because it is pass or fail. If your first paragraph, your first page is excellent, you are past the first barrier with a publisher. If it is not, it doesn't matter how good the rest of the book is. So I really want to emphasize that that's where you do your homework, that's where you polish, that's where you make your strongest argument. An experienced publisher should look at that and go, it looks like a book. It sounds like a book. It has the same feel as if you picked up a novel that was already commercially published and read the first bit and went, that's interesting. It's gotten me hooked. There's something going on here, and I'm deeply immersed relatively quickly. It doesn't mean you have to get to violent action quickly. It just means immersed in character, immersed in scenario. I'm already guessing at something that's going on, but you're playing a game of withholding and allowing and showing and veiling, and I want to know what's happening. That's your task, and that's number 2. Number 3, complete the story. In the world of nonfiction, I was very fortunate that I was able to send a synopsis, a proposal with an idea for a book and get a yes or a no based on that. It doesn't work that way in the world of fiction. You have to finish your manuscript. Use the correct terminology as well. They don't speak about a book or a tale, they say manuscript, and often it's brought down to the 2 letters MS. Hi, I'd like to discuss my MS with you, manuscript. If you complete it before you send it, you exponentially change your chances of getting anywhere. In fact, I would tend to say that most publishers today will not take you seriously until it's done. Even if the first page is good, they'll say, well, when you finish it, let us know. And that's because they need the complete effect of the thing. They need to know if it has a good ending, whether the middle is solid, it's engaging, it does everything that a good book should do. And they cannot tell on the basis of a synopsis. They have to see how you pull off the entire thing. Number 4, don't stop at your first novel. Now, I want you to take this quite seriously, and I use this little idea often. I say, Stephen King didn't write Carrie and then wait for fame to come to him. He went on to Salem's Lot. He went on to the next one. And it is very rare to get published in the first place, and even more rare to become successful or famous or in any way renowned as an author on the basis of your first book. What you must do is keep on going, keep producing, keep writing. I am now at the point myself where my first book, my first novel, came out last year. It was called The Man Who Never Was. We are about 3 weeks away from the release of my second one, which is a big international blockbuster dark thriller called Character Scan. And I will be revealing the cover and the dates for the audiobooks and so on quite soon. But I'm now 3 books ahead of that. I'm at number 5 already, and number 2 is coming out. That does a few things. One, it guarantees that I am never in a scenario where the publisher's waiting for me. 2, it means that I can increase the quality and keep on editing these books as the other books go out into the market. And 3, it just means that I am putting forth my strongest possible argument for the continued success of my writing career. I haven't stalled at number 1. Numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are out there. Generally speaking, authors tend to break through on novels number 3 or 4, 4 or 5. Get that through your head and take it to heart. You're probably not going to be successful on the first one, and that's okay. It doesn't actually matter. The fact that it's published means credibility, means momentum, means a strong start. Have the next one ready, and the next one after that. It positions you for a lifetime of success within this industry. So aim to write novel number 3. Get there as quickly as you can. Point number 5, keep your query email short. People go way too long on these things. You want to do something like, Dear ex-editor, my name is, and I am an author of. I have an MS that is 90,000 words completed in the thriller genre. It follows the story of a person who does this outlandish thing, and that happens as a result. May I please send you a query? Or may I please send you a synopsis? And it's that short, sharp, and to the point. Editors are incredibly pressured people, and they can receive hundreds of these emails per day. The shorter, sharper, and more succinct it is, the better. And that brings us on to the next one, number 6, which is follow the exact submission requirements on their website. When new and aspiring authors ask me how to go about this process, that's the first advice I always give them. I say, go to the publisher's website, and where it says submissions and how to submit to them, it's a test. And this one is also pass or fail. Once again, I've had an editor confide in me that this is a way of winnowing out anyone that they're not going to take seriously because the author's not taking them seriously. If you approach a Penguin or a Macmillan or any of the big publishers, indeed any publisher, start with a submissions page. If they say your manuscript should be double-line spaced, don't send them single-line spaced. It's a test. If they say it should have an aligned left-hand margin, which is usually the case, and a ragged right-hand margin, which is usually the case, then do that and nothing else. It's a test. Generally speaking, what they look for, though, is they will say, please send a synopsis, the first page of a chapter, and perhaps an argument for the marketing of the book. And that's what they want to see. They want to see the exact things for which they asked and nothing else. Don't send them the whole manuscript if they say send us the first page. Generally, it will be something like a synopsis and either the first page or the first 3 chapters of your novel. Now, that's what you send and nothing else. Don't miss anything. Make sure that you absolutely follow their guidelines. You will also find that publishers will tend to say things like, we don't accept romantic fiction, or we don't do sci-fi. Don't bother with those publishers if yours is romantic fiction or sci-fi. You're just wasting everyone's time. Find the ones who do what you do. Now, here's the easiest way to do that. Who writes the kind of stories that you write? Who publishes those? Go to them. They already do it. You want to be a little careful with how you explain your book. You don't want to say, I'm the next Stephen King. But it is generally acceptable to say, the closest authors to my style might be a James Patterson, a Stephen King, a Dean Koontz, whatever the case might be, just to give them a sense of where you're going, but be very careful of saying, I'm like. The closer you get to that, the more they roll their eyes, the more they take you for an amateur. So you want to give them a sense of what it is without saying in the style of, which is actually a very weak argument. And number 7, the query itself is a sales pitch. Do you have pre-existing credibility, credentials, experience in a certain area about which you're writing? Maybe your book is about tracking in the wild and you've spent 20 years doing that. Tell them. Do you have existing platforms? By which I mean, do you have a YouTube channel, a large Instagram following? Do you often speak at certain types of events where you can mention a book? Are you on television? Do you have a podcast? Any of those sorts of things become a part of the total argument for you. They are a business after all. They want to know if they can sell copies of this book, and they want you to get involved in that side of things. Now, folks, please don't worry too much about that. If you are the shy, introverted, authory type, like most authors, the chances are that that scares the living daylights out of you. Firstly, getting involved in the marketing is not that bad. It might mean some interviews, which are fun. It might mean creating some Facebook memes, which is fun. It could be doing a podcast or two, or whatever the case might be. Maybe you rock up at an event and sign some books, and people say, I love you very much, and you say, thank you, reader person. So it's never as bad as you think it is. But if all of that continues to horrify you, go back to number 1. Your best argument is an awesome story. Dean Koontz is one of the best-selling authors of all time. He hardly ever does interviews. He doesn't do book tours. He now does a small amount of social media. He does sort of fun posts where he answers questions in dark and twisted ways, and they're actually quite enjoyable. But he built up his career as one of the best-selling authors of all time, using technique number 1, your best argument is an awesome story, and technique number 4, which is don't stop at the first one. He just keeps going and going and going. Dean Koontz has had several New York Times bestsellers over the course of a career. And I mean, the number of books that he's written is mind-blowing. He's also had some out-and-out failures. Some of his books are the height of brilliance. Some of them are meh. Some of them his own fans say didn't like it at all. But he keeps going. And that's the key to the thing. It is difficult to argue with the momentum of 40, 50, 60 novels. And what happens is, with each new novel that you release, your fan base grows. And the fans who are just discovering your books go back and buy the old ones as well. And the kind of total publishing wealth that that entails for an author like him defies belief. So the two ideas that I want you to most take to heart is your best argument is an awesome story. And don't stop at the first awesome story. Write number 2, write number 3, keep on going. Hope it helps, folks. I'll share some more tips on writing. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If there's anything in particular that you'd like to know about the world of writing fiction, the sort of technical side of things, please let me know. I'm also going to cover things like paying for song lyrics if you want to insert them into your text, arguing and haggling over cover designs, anything else that people don't generally get to hear about in this world. I can even tell you about things like percentages that authors get paid, audiobooks, things of that nature. If there's anything in particular you'd like to know about, drop me a comment in the comment section, and I will try to answer any questions that you have in future videos. Best of luck with your writing. Daily production is the thing. You've watched the video, now get back to work.